Hey YouTube, it's me, the guy with all the old stuff in his living room. I'm back again. I'm making another video. I've decided to make a series of videos giving some tips, strategies, so just some advice for people looking to get certain old pieces of electronics. A lot of them get thrown out all the time. And I think it's a shame because there's way too much e-waste in the world, and a lot of the stuff works perfectly fine, as you can see from the 20-year-old television behind me, and the almost 60-year-old speakers behind me. Well, you can see one of them in the video. Anyway, so in this video, I'm gonna explain how to buy a CRT. So the first question, the first most obvious question is, why would anyone want a cathode ray tube television in 2018? Well, there's a couple reasons. If you are into old video technology formats, VHS, but especially Laserdisc, old video game systems, a lot of different things. They always look better on a CRT just because there were a lot of ways that, game programmers, the people who designed Laserdisc, you have to remember Laserdisc came out, I think even before CD. It was in 1980, I think it came out. It was 78 or 80. Anyway, so yeah, so they're kind of playing these tricks with interlacing, which was just the way that televisions produced video pretty much from, I think from the first color televisions up until the advent of the HD progressive scan, flat screen monitor type displays. Anyway, if you don't want to deal with compatibility headaches, if you want to play arcade games in a way that looks pretty much like what you're going to get at the arcade, getting a CRT is a quick and extremely cheap solution to those problems. Also, the stuff inside of a cathode ray tube television is extremely toxic. Dumps are starting to charge more and more to take these things because of how much of a hassle it is to process them. So I think it's ethical to try to salvage some of these. And also, you can get some of the best, highest quality models, sometimes for free. Sometimes on Craigslist, people will even pay you a little bit to take them. If you go around on garbage day in neighborhoods, if you live in a big city, go to like a slightly more affluent neighborhood on trash day, you'll probably find whatever models you're really looking for, as long as the weather's good. There's no real reason to pay for these things. If you ask around at the dump, I'm sure they could probably hook you up with whatever you were looking for. So, if you do want to buy, there's at the extreme high end of CRTs are hospital monitors. These are predominantly Sony PVMs and BVMs, not like the thing behind me. Those can be fairly expensive, although if you ask around at hospitals, at television stations, a lot of them are getting rid of old equipment, or were getting rid of old equipment if you look around on Craigslist. But a higher end BVM in good condition can run anywhere between $500 to $1,500 if you're buying it on eBay or something and not hunting around for it. However, until about like 2003, 2004, this was the only kind of television anybody really had, except for like front or back projection televisions, which were enormous and not that common. Although in the house I grew up in, we had a front projection television, and it's a bizarre piece of technology. If I ever run across one of those again, I'd like to make a YouTube video about it. It's really weird. I mean, I don't know anybody who has the living space anymore to store something like that. So, you know, it's unfortunate, but that's just evolution, I suppose. Anyway, so the next question, I guess, is what kind of features should you be looking for in a CRT when you're going around looking, since because very few people want these at this point, you're going to have a lot of options, choices, and you know, you find what suits you. I think that unless you have a very large house, any of them that are above maybe like excuse me, maybe like 27 inches, it's not really feasible to keep them around. They have a lot of back, as they say. You know, the TV kind of has a butt, but the mine in the video here behind me is a 20-inch. I find that's perfectly fine. You know, if you're playing video games or something, you're probably not going to be that far from the television, and chances are you probably already have a flat screen television of some sort if you want to watch high definition stuff on a larger screen. I mean, I find 20 inches is honestly, it looks pretty good. If you want to get the best picture quality out of the CRT, you usually want to look for the presence on the back or side of component inputs, S-video inputs, VGA inputs, which are pretty rare, and also it's only going to work with certain AV components. Namely computers mostly, or if they were some of the last CRTs ever made, very few of them have HDMI input, which is fine because it's not really a device you're going to use to play. Like, there's enough devices laying around most people's houses at this point that can take HDMI inputs and produce decent video. I find the thing very fascinating. I kind of like I like the feel of it. When you're putting in component input, you're getting about at least 480p video. Component can transfer up to like 720i, or I think even 1080i. The TV can't do 1080i, but the TV doesn't need to do 1080i. An advantage of the Ray tube over the progressive scan flat panel TVs that are prevalent now. Although the flat panel TVs have a lot less toxic waste in them, so I'm not saying like they should start manufacturing these again. That would be a disaster. But this has much deeper black values because it's coming through a tube with electrons instead of being like a bunch of extremely tiny LEDs lighting up next to each other, which creates bleeding. So the picture will look much more crisp than the same resolution picture is going to look on most flat panel monitors. Anyway, hopefully some of that was helpful. Some brand names that are that work well in my experience with them. Hitachi, I have a little Hitachi TV from 1990. It works fine. The picture is a little bit... So one issue with CRTs is that as they're used over their lifespan, which the lifespan of a CRT can be like, they're like turtles, they can last 30, 40, 50 years if they're not like exposed to the elements. The picture will start to fade after a long time of usage. However, the cool thing is that the people who got like very nice CRTs right at the end of the run of the CRT era are getting rid of their TVs, it seems like now. And a lot of them probably upgraded their TV and use this as like a backup TV. So a lot of the like Sony Trinitron Wigas, which are wonderful TVs, that's the one behind me, they don't have a lot of use hours. So they look pretty fresh when you use them, which is good because, they're not making these anymore. So if you want to do stuff with them, now's the time. Anyway, hopefully some of that was of use. This has been the guy with the old stuff in his living room. I gotta come up with another title for that. But anyway, see you later, YouTube. Bye.